Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video, we're talking about PlayStation 2, Nintendo 3DS, Sega Saturn, and retro handhelds. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with AetherSX2. Now, in yesterday's video, we talked about a brand new feature that AetherSX2 delivered, and I may have missed a very big part of that feature. So here's the new build of AetherSX2 up and running. I'm in the app settings and I'm scrolling over to the graphics tab. And then from here, I'm going to click on the upscale multiplier, and this is where I stopped in yesterday's video. I talked about the awesome new feature, the fractional values for upscaling, for example, 1.25, 1.5, and 1.75 times the graphics. Now this is an awesome feature if you have possibly an underpowered device and want to upscale graphics without sapping too much performance. However, I didn't scroll up. And if you scroll up just a little bit here, there is also downscaling per se. So we can go to 0.75 times native graphics or even down to 0.5 times native graphics. Now, I'm not going to lie here, if you select 0.5 times native graphics, it's going to make your games look a heck of a lot worse. But if your device is struggling to run AetherSX2, well, selecting something like 0.5 times or even 0.75 times might grant you a few extra frames per second. It might make a game that's unplayable reasonably playable. Now, it is worth pointing out that this small performance boost might not be a silver bullet for every single device out there. PS2 emulation is taxing on devices. If your device is underpowered and struggling to run PS2 games in general, it might get a little better, but it might not be perfect. Now, sooner or later, this new feature will be available on the Google Play Store, but if you want an early look at it, head to AetherSX2.com, click on Download. From here, click on Close Testing Alpha, and then click on the top folder and the top file. As of this video, it's version 2472. And as always, credit where credit is due. Shoutouts to Paul Pollington for pointing this out in the comments on the last video. I wouldn't have seen this as soon as I did if you didn't point it out. Thank you. And speaking about performance, next up here, we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation on Android with Citra, just not the version that's on the Google Play Store. We're talking about Citra MMJ, the version of Citra designed for performance as opposed to emulation accuracy, and where MMJ stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano. There's a brand new version of Citra MMJ available to download. It was just released and it does include some shader cache files. It should amp up performance just a little bit. As always, I drop a link to everything I'm talking about in the description below, and this GitHub page will be there. Moving on now, and we're talking about a fairly popular retro gaming handheld, the Miyoo Mini. A seemingly new version of the Miyoo has popped up on AliExpress, the Miyoo Mini V3. Now, if you already own a V2, I wouldn't recommend dumping that to pick up a V3. You might be surprised here. On Twitter, Shonenman and Retro Game Corps have confirmed that the V3 is the exact same as the V2. Miyoo states there is no difference, it's just a keyword. Many people define it differently. I would highly disagree with that. I don't think many people were confusing the V2 with the unreleased and unannounced V3. That makes no sense at all. In my opinion, this is a sneaky marketing tactic to possibly sell some more units, as people might mistake the V3 as a new version. So if Miyoo does plan on releasing a brand new Mini at some point in time, they've just kind of screwed up the naming convention pretty royally, because the V3 makes absolutely no sense now. And if they release a new one under the V3, people are going to mistake it for the V2. They're going to have to change the entire naming convention, or just stick with something that doesn't make sense. Next up here, we're talking about retro gaming handhelds again, but this time specifically about an emulator, a Sega Saturn emulator called Yaba Sanshiro. There's a brand new of Yaba Sanshiro available for handheld devices, and a lot of people are going to be excited about this one, even though Sega Saturn emulation isn't the best just yet. So for the new batch and thousands of variants of retro gaming handhelds coming out that can run Windows, like the Einloki, the new Aya Neo, the new Anbernic Win 600, there's a new version of Yaba Sanshiro that can work with your gamepad only. It's a port of the Linux version, and it's specifically made for these handheld devices. I'll leave a link to this page in the description below. And on a side note here, while this version of Yaba Sanshiro is intended for handheld devices, if you wanted to use it on PC, you absolutely can. Here it is up and running on my PC, and I don't see an issue. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about today in the comments below, whether it's the potential performance boost in AetherSX2, Citra MMJ, Yaba Sanshiro, or even the weird Miyoo Mini V2 V3 device that was released but not released. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.